Did you know that attraction goes way beyond what we see at first glance? There are incredible psychological factors that influence who we're attracted to and why, and often, we don't even notice them. In this video, I'm going to share 15 psychological curiosities that could change the way you view attraction and relationships. From how scent can impact how you're perceived to the secrets behind your voice and the influence of hormones, I promise you'll be surprised by what you discover. Stay with me until the end and see how this information can help you better understand the dynamics of relationships and even improve your own interactions. Let's get started. Did you know that scent is one of the most important factors in attraction? And the most interesting part is that this doesn't always happen consciously. For example, there's a chemical compound called androstenol, which is found in fresh male sweat. This compound tends to be perceived as attractive by women because, on a biological level, it can signal health and vitality. It's as if the body is saying that the person is a good genetic choice. On the other hand, if sweat is left to accumulate for a long time, it releases androstenone, which has the opposite effect. It's perceived as unpleasant, almost repulsive. This is fascinating because it shows how the human body is always seeking balance. Not too little, not too much. In relationships, scent can be a powerful initial signal. Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel inexplicably attracted to someone? It might be simply the perfume, or more deeply, the pheromones that person emits. For men, the impact is a bit different. Many studies suggest that they prefer feminine scents that convey freshness and sweetness, which are associated with femininity. However, there's something peculiar. The scent of female tears has an effect of reducing desire in men. This could have an evolutionary explanation, as tears often indicate sadness or vulnerability, and the male brain may interpret this as an unsuitable time for romance or attraction. When we think about long-term relationships, scent remains relevant. Choosing a fragrance that your partner likes, for instance, can create positive associations and strengthen the emotional connection. So next time you're picking out a fragrance or wondering why a certain person is so attractive, remember, your nose is a powerful ally to your heart. This is a fascinating topic because it reveals how our childhood experiences can shape our romantic preferences without us even realizing it. Studies show that women who grew up with older fathers often find themselves attracted to older men as well. This preference may include characteristics like gray hair, wrinkles, or a more mature and stable behavior. But why does this happen? The explanation lies in the paternal figure. Older fathers tend to display behaviors that reflect wisdom, stability, and security, which can create an emotional connection in their daughters, associating these qualities with the ideal romantic partner. It's not a conscious choice, but rather a reflection of the environment in which they grew up. On the other hand, women with younger fathers may show a greater attraction to younger-looking men or those with more vibrant energy, as that was the reference they had in childhood. This doesn't mean they are recreating the paternal role, but it's as if the brain uses those early experiences as a base to define what feels familiar and comfortable. And in relationships, how does this manifest? If you've noticed that you have a preference for a certain type of person, it might be interesting to reflect on how the dynamics with your parents or authority figures were during childhood. This type of influence doesn't fully determine your choices, but it can give clues about what you're looking for in a partner. Maybe security, adventure, or even nurturing. The most important thing is to understand that these preferences aren't good or bad. They're part of who we are and how our experiences shape what we find attractive. After all, at the end of the day, it's emotional connection and mutual respect that define the strength of a relationship. Have you ever heard the phrase, opposites attract? Well, it turns out there's a pretty interesting biological basis to it. One of the factors that explain this idea is the HLA complexes, human leukocyte antigens. They are part of the immune system and are essential for genetic diversity. Here's something amazing. People tend to feel more attracted to partners with different HLA complexes than their own. And do you know how this difference is perceived? Through scent. Our body can pick up on these differences subconsciously, and it directly influences how attractive we find someone. This preference for genetic diversity is a way to ensure that if there are children, they'll have a stronger and more adaptable immune system. When we think about relationships, this makes perfect sense. Someone with traits very different from ours can bring a natural balance. Think about how an extroverted person might be attracted to someone more introverted, for example. It's as if we seek, both in body and mind, what complements what we lack. Of course, opposites can also bring challenges. At first, differences can be exciting and full of novelty. However, to build a lasting relationship, it's important to learn how to appreciate those differences and find a balance. After all, having someone with traits that balance yours can be enriching, but requires patience and understanding. Isn't it curious how something as scientific as HLA complexes can influence something as emotional as attraction? Maybe next time you find yourself inexplicably drawn to someone very different from you, it's your DNA thinking about a future full of balance. It might sound contradictory, but when it comes to attraction, being average can be a big advantage. Studies show that people with facial features closer to the average, meaning without extreme or unusual traits, are often seen as more attractive. But why does this happen? It all comes down to genetic diversity. An average face is perceived as a sign of health and robustness since it combines a wider variety of genes, increasing the likelihood of strong genetic traits. In other words, our brains associate average faces with genetic stability, even if it happens unconsciously. And in relationships, this perception can influence both first impressions and long-term partner choices. This doesn't mean that people with more striking features like very large eyes or a prominent nose are less attractive. In fact, those features can highlight individuality. But overall, average is considered a safe ground for the human brain as it symbolizes balance and predictability. Interestingly, the idea of seeking average also appears in behavior. In a relationship, people often prefer partners with balanced personalities, not too impulsive or overly reserved. It's as if the brain is seeking a point of stability that makes coexistence easier. So, if you've ever wondered why someone appears so attractive without having any extremely distinctive features, now you know. Sometimes, what's simple is exactly what our brain finds perfect. Smiling has a huge impact on attraction, but the effect varies greatly depending on who is doing the smiling. For example, women who smile are generally seen as more attractive, friendly, and approachable. This is because a smile conveys warmth, empathy, and receptivity, qualities that many people look for in a partner. On the other hand, for men, the effect is almost the opposite. Men who smile too much are often perceived as less attractive by women. But don't worry, this doesn't mean they should walk around with a serious face. The reason is tied to the subconscious association that a man who smiles less can seem more mysterious, confident, or even dominant, traits that some women find instinctively attractive. In relationships, a smile continues to be a powerful tool. It helps create connections and can diffuse tension during arguments. Plus, smiling at your partner frequently can reinforce feelings of affection and closeness. It's like saying, without words, "I like you, and I'm happy to be with you." An interesting point is that genuine smiles, those that involve the eyes, not just the mouth, have a much greater impact than forced smiles. Our brains are great at picking up on these nuances and value authenticity above all. So, if you want to make a good impression or strengthen your relationship, the secret lies in a sincere smile that comes from the heart. Facial symmetry is one of the first things our brains notice when we look at someone, and it plays a huge role in attraction. People with more symmetrical faces are often seen as more beautiful, and it's not just about aesthetics. Symmetry is subconsciously associated with health, good genes, and even reproductive capability. But why is symmetry so attractive? It's simple. It signals to our brains that the person has had a healthy development, free from major illnesses or traumas that could have affected their body. A symmetrical face gives off an impression of balance and stability, qualities we unconsciously seek in a partner. In relationships, this can go beyond physical attraction. The pursuit of symmetry might translate into wanting someone who brings emotional balance or shares similar values and goals. For example, a partner who complements our strengths and balances out our weaknesses. Today, many people turn to makeup, cosmetic treatments, and even photo editing to create the illusion of symmetry. This shows how deeply rooted the perception of beauty is in the idea of harmony. But in the end, what really matters is the whole package. Symmetry might grab attention, but personality and emotional connection are what keep interest alive over the long term. And here's a fun fact. Perfect symmetry is extremely rare. Small asymmetries are natural and part of what makes each person unique. So if you've ever worried that one side of your face is a little different from the other, don't stress. It's the combination of features and authenticity that makes someone truly irresistible. Blushing, the rosy color that appears on the face in certain situations, can be much more attractive than we think. It's a natural sign of romantic interest or excitement. When someone is attracted or nervous, blood flow increases, bringing more color to the cheeks, lips, and even making the eyes look brighter. It's as if the body is announcing attraction in a visible way. This effect is so powerful that many people try to mimic it. Makeup products like blush and lipstick were created to simulate the natural flush, making lips look fuller and cheeks appear livelier. In the psychology of attraction, these features are interpreted as signs of health, vitality, and fertility, making a person even more attractive. In relationships, blushing can play an interesting role in interactions. When you notice someone's face turning slightly red when talking or getting closer, it could be an indicator that an emotional connection is happening. It's a nonverbal way of showing interest or vulnerability, which can deepen intimacy between two people. And if you've ever felt your face getting red during flirting or a compliment, don't worry. It might work in your favor. Blushing is not something we control, which makes it authentic and even endearing. It conveys transparency and shows that you're emotionally involved, a trait that many people value in a relationship. So, the next time you notice a blush on your face or someone else's, remember that it's a genuine sign of connection and can say more than words. When it comes to attraction, body types play a significant role, and this is also linked to subconscious signals of health and fertility. For instance, many men are attracted to women with what is known as an hourglass figure, characterized by a narrower waist compared to the hips. This pattern is biologically associated with good reproductive capacity and balanced hormone levels. On the other hand, women are generally attracted to men with traits such as broad shoulders, a strong chest, and a narrower waist. These features are interpreted as signs of strength, protection, and good health, qualities that have historically been valued in a partner. In relationships, these physical preferences can act as a first filter. However, it's important to remember that after the initial attraction phase, what truly sustains a bond is emotional connection and compatibility. After all, an attractive body type might catch someone's eye, but it's behavior, personality, and commitment that keep interest alive over the long term. Additionally, these preferences can vary from culture to culture and even from person to person. What one society considers attractive might not be the same in another, and this also changes over time. Today, many people look for partners who are comfortable with themselves, regardless of rigid beauty standards. Finally, it's worth noting that attraction goes far beyond the physical. While body features can be a starting point, emotional and mental chemistry is what truly makes the difference in a healthy and lasting relationship. Hormones play a crucial role in attraction and in the perception of the ideal partner, especially during certain periods of the female menstrual cycle. During ovulation, for example, women tend to feel more attracted to men with typically masculine features such as strong facial features, a square jawline, and a more rugged appearance. This is related to the subconscious association with high levels of testosterone and fertility. In other words, a woman's body is instinctively seeking a partner who can offer the best genetic support for reproduction. This phenomenon is not just about physical appearance. It can also manifest in more confident and assertive behavior. This is why, during ovulation, many women may feel more drawn to partners who exude confidence and are perceived as dominant in certain social situations. In relationships, this means attraction can be influenced by factors beyond what we see at first glance. Even if you have an emotional and intellectual connection with someone, a woman's hormonal cycle can subtly shift her perception of physical attraction. For some women, this might translate into a greater appreciation for more masculine traits, while at other times in the cycle, she might prefer softer, more subtle features. This hormonal influence isn't exclusive to women. While men's perception of attraction is generally more stable over time, some studies indicate that their testosterone levels can also affect how they perceive and respond to attraction cues, impacting the dynamics of a relationship. Understanding how hormones can affect attraction and preferences can help build a more conscious and empathetic relationship. It's fascinating to realize that behind our choices and feelings, there's a whole world of biological processes at play that we often don't even notice. Hormonal contraceptive methods, such as birth control pills and other types of contraceptives, can have a surprising impact on a woman's perception of attraction. These methods alter the body's natural hormone levels, which in turn can modify patterns of female attraction and partner choice. When a woman is using hormonal contraceptives, she tends to be more attracted to men with genetic traits similar to her own. This happens because typically attraction is associated with genetic diversity, like the HLA complexes we mentioned earlier. However, when using contraceptives, hormone levels change, and a woman may start to prefer traits that align with her own genes rather than seeking diversity. This shift can even impact long-term compatibility and, in some cases, relationship satisfaction. To illustrate, imagine a woman who began dating a partner while using birth control and then, after stopping, notices a change in how she perceives that partner. This can be unsettling and, in some cases, even lead to a reassessment of the relationship. This phenomenon occurs because the subconscious perception of attractiveness was adjusted by artificial hormones, which alter the brain's response to attraction cues. This doesn't mean that contraceptives are bad for relationships, but it does highlight how hormonal factors can subtly and often unexpectedly influence our perception of attraction. Understanding this phenomenon can help couples discuss their choices openly and develop more empathy for the changes that may occur over time. So, next time you hear someone mentioning their choice of contraceptive method, it may be interesting to remember that, aside from its function of prevention, it can also have deeper impacts on attraction dynamics and relationships. Did you know that the person who initiates the conversation in a dating or social interaction tends to be less demanding? This phenomenon occurs because the person who takes the first step is, in a way, opening the door to an opportunity, which means they need to be more open and willing to accept characteristics that might not have been their first choice in a partner. It's about allowing oneself to explore new possibilities and not missing out on a chance for connection. This is especially true for men, who, according to studies, are more likely to take the initiative when starting a date. The reason could be related to cultural and social factors that encourage men to be the initiators in approaching situations. As a result, they tend to be a bit more flexible in their expectations of a potential partner. In relationships, this idea of less demanding can have an interesting impact. If someone has taken the initiative to approach another person, it could be a sign that they're willing to invest more time and energy to make the connection work, regardless of certain imperfections. This doesn't mean they will be completely indifferent to what they see, but they are more likely to focus on the good qualities the other person brings, rather than looking for flaws or comparing to an unattainable ideal. On the other hand, the person who expects to be approached or invited to start a conversation might have higher standards, as they are in a position where they feel in control of the situation. This can be an advantage in terms of partner selection, but can also mean they might miss valuable opportunities if they're not open to someone who doesn't perfectly fit their initial expectations. So, next time you find yourself in a situation where someone has taken the initiative to approach you, keep in mind that this person might be open to venturing out and exploring the connection, even if they're not perfect in every way. This willingness can be an indicator of a more open and balanced approach to relationships. A woman's voice changes subtly during ovulation, and this has interesting implications for attraction. Studies have shown that during this phase of the menstrual cycle, a woman's voice tends to reach higher, softer tones. For many men, these tones are considered more attractive and can increase the perception of femininity and fertility. The reason behind this is how a woman's body responds hormonally during ovulation. During this phase, estrogen levels rise, affecting the larynx and vocal cords, resulting in this change in voice tone. But why is this important for attraction? The answer lies in our most primitive instincts. The human brain often makes subconscious associations between certain vocal characteristics and fertility, which can lead a man to perceive a woman as more attractive or desirable during ovulation. This perception can be an advantage for women who are looking for a potential partner, as the higher, more melodious voice can convey a sense of youthfulness and health. In relationships, this characteristic can influence how women are perceived at different times of the month. For example, a woman might notice that during ovulation, she is more noticed or receives more attention from potential partners. It's a way to understand that attraction is complex and can be influenced by factors that are not always conscious to us. Additionally, it's interesting to note that women might also feel more confident and secure during ovulation, which can reflect not just in their voice but in other aspects of interaction, such as body language and how they express themselves. This can create a cycle where both the woman and the men around her become more attuned to this subtle change. So, if you notice that you're attracting more attention at certain times of the month, it could be that this change in your voice is influencing others' perception, a reminder of how even the most subtle details can impact interactions and attraction. When we talk about men's observation, it's common to think they're always checking out women, whether out of attraction or desire. However, the reality is more complex. Men do observe women, but they also observe other men, and often it's not for romantic or sexual attraction. This observation may have to do with subconscious assessments of characteristics like height, physical strength, and appearance, which are associated with traits of dominance and social status. This observation of other men can be a way to assess competition, an instinctive way to measure who is ahead in terms of physical attributes or perceived skills. For some women, this may seem like an issue of ego or insecurity, but in reality, it's linked to a biological and social drive that dates back to ancestral behaviors. Competition and comparison between the sexes have their roots in times when survival depended on understanding who had the best qualities for leadership and protection. Now, when a man observes a woman, it can be for a variety of reasons. Of course, physical attraction is a common reason, but it could also be because he's trying to understand her personality, observe how she interacts with others, or even make a quick assessment of how she behaves in public. Observing a woman can reveal a lot about her traits, such as friendliness, self-confidence, and how she handles social situations. These can all influence his interest, whether in a romantic way or as simple recognition of an interesting personality. In relationships, understanding that observation can have different motivations helps create a more balanced perspective on male behavior. Sometimes the perception that a man is looking too much can be seen as a sign of interest, but it could also just be a reflection of a natural instinct to analyze and compare. Knowing this can help reduce misunderstandings and encourage more open and honest communication. Ultimately, observation, whether of men or women, is multifaceted. It's not always about direct attraction, but a deeper and more complex analysis of traits that can affect social and romantic dynamics. I hope you enjoyed exploring these fascinating psychological facts about attraction. If any of these points caught your attention, or if you have an opinion about what we discussed, leave your comment below. I love reading and responding to all of you. And if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up to help us reach more people. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.